All right, let's get started. Good morning, everybody, from wherever you're joining in the country. It's pretty hot day here in LA. A little bit too toasty for my liking, but we're going to keep it cool and breezy with a great webinar. It's based on an ebook that we just released last week called the Daily Ad Optimization Framework. And what we're doing is we're getting some of our internal experts involved with communicating what they do with teams, how they help them improve their ads, how they use Northbeam to really kickstart a deliverable cadence that they can do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about the daily ad optimization framework, and we're going to walk you through it, and I'm going to show you exactly what our teams do day in, day out. So welcome along. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you out of this get some actionable takeaways that you can implement right away into your own ad optimization strategies. Of course, today's webinar is brought to you by Northbeam, marketing intelligence platform for profitable growth. Is something that we kind of uh, live and die by. We really stand by our products. We think it's the best on the market, and we have something very exciting with CDV that's we're going to be launching out and rolling out publicly at the beginning of October. Something to look out for. We'll be doing more content, webinars, and materials around then to keep you all informed on how you can use that. Um, but without further ado, let's just jump straight into it. So I want to introduce CJ Hunter. He's our media buying manager. He works every day with partners, with clients, helping them improve their strategies and really using this ad optimization framework to put into practice some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. So without further ado, take it away, CJ.
Awesome. Thank you, Jack. Let me swap the screen share real quick and we will get into it. Okay, a little bit about myself. I am the lead for the media strategy team. The media strategy team, let me fix this real quick. Um, Jack, can I have you share again?
Of course.
I don't know what's going on my screen, so I'll have you tap through the slides for me.
Yeah, absolutely. You got it. You ready?
Sorry about that. I don't know what my screen share was doing. But yeah, so I lead the media strategy team here at Northbeam. I've worked across agency and brand roles for the better part of 10 years now. If you've seen from the picture on the first slide, I also served 6 years in the US Army. And the media strategy team is our team of specialists and experts who support our professional enterprise clients to help them get maximum value out of Northbeam for scaling efficiently and acquiring customers in the most efficient and scalable way possible. And let's just get into it. So in this webinar, first we're going to cover who Northbeam is for, who uses it, who inside of your organization is going to get the value out of it, benchmarks and stoplights, which is a newer feature that we use that helps us make decisions very, very quickly and very, very accurately instead of debating and shifting through hordes and hordes of charts and data. We're going to go over the key metrics that we look at to make those decisions to acquire customers as profitably as possible, the framework that we use to make those decisions, and I'm also going to give you a quick overview and demo of Northbeam itself. This demo is going to be a real customer dashboard with real data, anonymized, of course, so we can't share everything, but so you can see exactly what numbers really look like inside of a real customer's dashboard. Go ahead and tap to the next one for me, Jack. All right. So looking through what it is that we're going to do is build a repeatable daily loop to scale your winners and trim waste. Obviously, the entire purpose of Northbeam is to help you scale as efficiently as possible. So we want to find a very quick, repeatable system that's going to help you make those decisions on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis as easy as possible. You're going to decide and make all your decisions confidently with a multi-touch source of truth. That is our core product here at Northbeam. is our multi-touch attribution models that give you a much truer and accurate sense of your data, of your CAC, your ROAS, and all of your business metrics, as opposed to trying to compare your in-platform metrics, which are obviously very, very biased. And at the end of this, you're going to leave with a checklist for making those decisions, a metrics glossary to easily reference, and a demo that you can copy and use to strategize off of. All right, so who is this for? Let me get into that. Northbeam is for media buyers, it is for growth teams, it is for creative teams, retention teams, and leadership. Anybody whose work it is to grow the company and measure performance. We want to provide you with a shared, accurate view of performance with clear rules for action. Northbeam's dashboards and saved views can be tailored specifically to your roles and teams. So your CMO, your CEO, your retention team, growth team, brand team, influencer team can all have specific and customized views so they can make their decisions as easily and quickly as possible. Now, the big topic that we want to talk about is going to be our benchmarks and stoplights. This is a newer feature to Northbeam that we are extremely proud of and has helped make decision making a lot faster for our clients and everybody who we have that is working to grow their business as efficiently as possible. So what we do is take your most profitable days over a given time period, and we condense all the data we have on those days as defined by the user, you, to essentially find out what it is that drove the performance on those days. We split those into categories for your first-time customers, your returning customers, the categories that you're running in, and your blended targets to give you benchmarks that you can measure against and give you stoplights, which are green, yellow, and red indicators, to tell very quickly and very easily where you have scaling opportunities and where you have inefficiencies to cut back and increase your overall ROAS and lower your CAC as low as possible. Now, the key metrics that we're going to look at, these are the ones that we hold as our golden standards. These are the ones that we use to determine what our performance is and make sure that we're not getting any false flags. It's probably a good way to put it, to make sure that we're scaling the right way. First one is obviously going to be your NROAS or new customer ROAS. Northbeam is specifically built and designed as a product to help you scale new customer acquisition. That is not to say that we're not concerned with your retention efforts, but you can't retain a customer that you haven't acquired. So that's where we start with everything. Your new customer ROAS and new customer CAC are two of our golden metrics. The new customer percent, this is the one that I hail as the primary metric that I look at when making decisions and that we will much more often talk to customers about to make sure that your marketing efforts are actually accomplishing the goal of that marketing asset. Subsidiary metrics that we will look at, especially for postmortem, is going to be your click-through rates, your CPMs, and your cost per clicks to make sure that your assets are actually performing the way that they should be and make sure they're actually driving performance at a cost that you can afford. Your new customer conversion rate is very, very important to make sure that your ads are actually converting new customers and not just converting returning ones. And revenue per visit is a personal favorite of mine. I'm not a big fan of conversion rate as a standalone metric, but revenue per visit is very, very valuable to measure the performance of ads assets against each other to find out which ones you should be scaling. Now, your daily loop is essentially what we've got on the screen right here. So when you come into Northbeam, first thing you're going to do is your gut check. What's your goal today? Is your goal with looking at the dashboard to look for new customer acquisition opportunities? Are you checking on your promo performance? Are you checking on a newly launched product or category? Or are you just coming in for creative validation? Having that goal in mind first makes the decision-making process a lot easier. Then, as soon as we've identified what it is that we're in the dashboard to do, we're going to look at our benchmarks and stoplights as a very quick identity, quick scale up, identify your quick scale or trim down opportunities. You can do that all the way from the platform and channel level to the campaign level, to the ad set level, and to the ad level itself. And then the scaling rules. This is obviously, we all know as marketers that nobody has a a set agreed upon way to scale. So there's a lot of different ways you can do that, but the benchmarks we help make it as easy as possible by whatever minimum measure that you run off of. As long as the benchmark is green, then you can feel confident that there is a scaling opportunity there. And then after applying the scaling rules, we're going to re-strategize the creative. So you check if there is any mismatch in the patterns in your actual dashboards. So we're looking for any patterns where things don't line up the way they're supposed to. And then after we made our decisions, we're going to recheck, come back and make sure, validate our decisions coming in next day, next week. And that's where we're going to look at those subsidiary metrics, which is the new customer percent, revenue per visitor, conversion rate. You're going to confirm if you made the right decision and adjust based off of that. Go ahead and tap away, Jack. We already went over this. But let me now take over again, and we will get into a quick demo of Northbeam. All right. So when you hop into Northbeam, this is what you see. And again, this is a real customer dashboard. This is real data with real customers and real money behind it. This is anonymized, so I'm not sharing any data that I'm not supposed to. But this is the homepage when you come into Northbeam. This is what everybody sees when they first open the view. This is our homepage. This is our default overview. This is your main high-level performance overview. I don't expect many, especially performance teams and creative teams, to be spending much time here. This is much more of a high-level executive overview. This is what your CEOs and CMOs may be looking at to measure your overall company performance and your media buying performance. But what's super nice about this is that these views are fully customizable by your teams. You can have as many views as you want for as many people as you have or teams in your organizations. They can customize all of these in their own saved views, so everybody has their own view that they can look at to make decisions as quickly and easily as possible. Now, talking about what makes Northbeam different. The first thing you're going to notice right here at the top is the settings for the entire page. So the first one I want to talk about is going to be our accounting modes. You notice right here, this is on accrual performance. When you typically look at all of your revenue and performance reporting, what you're looking at and the way that something like Shopify reports their data is going to be on a cash accounting mode snapshot. That means that the revenue is attributed to the transaction date. This is really good for reporting and is really good for period pacing. This is typically what you're always going to see. To anybody who's ever worked in finance, accrual may be much more familiar. The difference is that on accrual performance, we tie the revenue to the date of to the timestamp of the touch point. So to give you a quick example, if I clicked on a Facebook ad yesterday, but I didn't make a purchase until today, on a cash reporting model, the revenue is going to be attributed to today when I made the transaction. On a accrual reporting model, that revenue is going to get attached to yesterday when the marketing touch point took place. This is the accounting mode that we recommend looking at because it helps you avoid false flags, things like increased revenue attached with an email send or a promo that went out that day, or an SMS message, or anything else that could cause a cash spike that wouldn't be tied specifically to a revenue source. This also helps us identify what the most impactful moments were and that we're not over attributing on a timestamp basis where that revenue came from. Now, we'll talk about our attribution models, which is the hot topic that everybody always wants to talk about. First one is going to be our clicks only model. I'm actually going to hop into our sales page to kind of show you guys how these work. Now, again, these settings at the top of the page, this is what we recommend for everybody to run. Everybody has customized setups, maybe do things a little bit differently, but default, we always want to look at clicks only, the clicks only attribution model on a 1-day attribution window on accrual performance. So all the revenue that comes through on this page, on this reporting model, is going to be based on real clicks where we can identify the user and the transaction. It's going to be tied to when the touch points took place, and we're only going to be looking at touch points that took place within 1 day of a transaction taking place. That way we get the most conservative view of our performance, which gives us a really strong basis to make performance decisions and scaling decisions off of. Now, the clicks only model, if you've ever been in an MTA environment before, what you're probably used to seeing is going to be a linear model. Now, a linear model will take all of the touch points across your customer journey. Like, let's say we have 5 touch points with a $100 purchase. We have 2 clicks on Facebook, 2 on TikTok, and then 1 on Google. On a $100 purchase, a linear attribution model is going to give $20 in credit to each of those touch points. That's very simple math, very, very easy to understand. What's unique about Northbeam is this clicks only model. What it looks to do specifically is measure and identify what the upper funnel campaigns and touch points were that drove lower funnel performance. So you can think of clicks only like linear with some extra steps. And those extra steps are we actually remove the lower funnel traffic from being able to get the attribution that we would have given in a linear model. So in this case, very specifically on clicks only, we pull out branded search credit, we pull out organic, direct, email, and SMS credit. I would consider those inevitable touch points where if we know that somebody clicked on a Facebook ad and then came through an email or through branded search, that branded search or that email, while it may have captured their demand, it is not the asset that generated it. Clicks only automatically pushes that credit back in the customer journey. So you know what assets were actually driving that performance. Now, when you're coming into a Northbeam dashboard, this is where we're going to make our daily decisions. This is where you'd be spending, your teams would be spending most of their time with their customized views. But this is where the performance really lies. And if you've never been in a multi-touch environment before, you may notice that some of these numbers don't look like something you would love to see inside of your dashboard. We have Meta over here with a 0.36 ROAS. Now, inside of this company's Facebook ad manager, they're likely seeing something like a 2.7 ROAS. That doesn't make this number false. This is a representation of how the math actually breaks out when we're looking at what assets were driving the upper funnel performance. Now, the way we make decisions very easily on this is actually going to be our benchmarks. So that's what you can see these little stoplights are that we were referencing earlier. So through the benchmarks that this company, this brand set up, which again were they identified their profitable days over, I believe this brand had done it over 12 months, their most profitable days, separating out their promo periods, separating out discount orders and coupon code orders. And then we took all that data, goes through a very sophisticated algorithm to determine what were the actions, the assets, and what were the channels, campaigns, ads, and ads, ad sets, and ads that drove that performance, and tie them together into these benchmarks. So you can make very easy scaling decisions. Because we would all come in here and see a 0.36 ROAS, and looking at something like in platform, you would immediately think that I'm losing a lot of money here. In this case, this is not true. Their Facebook performance overall is holding at their benchmark, but we can see on their ROAS 1 day, that is their blended performance, they're a little bit below their target, but not too bad. But on their 1 day first time, they are quite a bit below performance. So over the last 7 days, which is the window that we're looking at, this brand and their marketing efforts has not been returning or not been reaching as many new customers as they would typically do on a very profitable day. But their retention efforts, if that's what their aim is going very, very well for them. They're 166% above their returning customer benchmark. And you have this through every single channel that you advertise on, at least all the channels that we can actually collect data and get benchmarks for. You can also see that we tie this into your ROASs. So you can see on an individual platform level how that looks. The other valuable part of the sales page is that you can drill down into your performance. So if I'm looking specifically at Meta, I want to look at my campaigns and see how they're performing. Let's get into here. So I can see on a campaign by campaign level the benchmarks for every single one of these. Their highest spending campaign looks like it's actually doing pretty well. And all the way here at the bottom, we have one campaign that is actually overperforming. Low spend, so we definitely want to scale this one up and see how performance holds. But we can drill even deeper. Then I can go into the ad sets for each of those campaigns and measure performance the same way. This is every single asset that will have your naming conventions. This is all scrambled to make sure the data stays anonymized, but we still have the benchmark set up for each one of these and into the ads themselves, which I'm not going to go into because that does show their actual creatives. But the sales page is where you come in to make your day-to-day decisions and where you find your opportunities to scale. Now we're going to talk about a couple other features that Northbeam has that also help you on that journey to make those profitable decisions. First one is going to be our product analytics, which is a personal favorite of mine. I don't actually know of any other tool that provides product first attribution. What you were just looking at on the sales page is obviously a platform level attribution method. So we're applying attribution credit from the platform level. This is your attribution from a product level. So we can see that over the last 30 days or so, their top revenue product was this one right here. Now I want to know what platforms, what ads, what assets were actually driving performance for this product. On this page, you can also get a really good indicator of whether a product is a good product for a new customer or a returning customer. If we see in the case of this product right here, of the total revenue, $54,000, 45,000 of that was first time revenue. So if this brand is using this product as a new customer capture product, then it's working very well. There's also going to be products that are much better for returning customers, but this is a good way to measure if your product marketing is doing what you want it to do and it is doing what it's supposed to do. Now I want to click on this and I'm going to go into the platform. So on my top selling product, how is it selling across platforms? Almost all of the revenue is coming from Google. That's a good thing to know, especially if it's something that I'm not pushing very hard on Google. Or if I know I'm pushing this product really hard on Meta, but more performance for it is coming from Google, then I may want to make the decision to actually strategize more around selling this product through my Google ad efforts. But now I want to look into the campaigns for this product. I have a single campaign that is driving pretty significant efforts for this product itself. And my favorite thing to do is going to be drilling all the way down to the ad level. So if we remember all the way back at the product level, we had $54,000 in total revenue sold for this product over the last 30 days. Over 10% of that was from a single ad. So in a hypothetical example where you can find this information to be valuable, we saw at the platform level that Google was a #1 seller of this product. But let's say we drill down in here and this campaign was actually a Meta campaign. You may not know through your in dashboard, your typical in platform, or even your Shopify data that Meta is a single Meta ad is driving the majority of that performance at a very high index. Now, in this case, index being all of the products and ads in this set, in this list, are compared against each other, a higher number being better. So this campaign specifically, whatever platform it is driving very, very high performance. Whatever this is, I would definitely recommend scaling this ad up. On a product level, from all the attribution credit that we can give it, it is generating a very good ROAS from the marketing efforts. There may be a very, very easy opportunity to scale this product up, knowing that it's coming from this ad. This is one of my favorite features. Again, I don't think I've seen another tool that provides product level attribution, but I am personally a big fan of making decisions with this. Now we're going to get into the LTV page. Nothing particularly special about this. I'm sure you've all used LTV cohorts before. With Northbeam data, we're just going to choose where we want to look. In this case, I want to look at things from the last year. We're going to go September to September, and we can break it down whatever cohort that you would really like. We have the months, weeks, shipping address, the region, your first order, which is the product and variant, first order, which is just at the product level, or even your first order discount code. So you can see which discount codes or influencer codes are driving significant lifetime performance. But if we just go to month acquired over the last year and wait for this to load a little bit, maybe it didn't take this long to load when I was doing this beforehand. There we go. So we have our LTV tables broken out by customer cohorts by month. So we can see what months we were acquiring more customers and how their LTV broke out. Obviously, in this case, we would look at something like the Black Friday and holiday and Q4 performance last year to see how our promos performed. So we can use that data to influence our Q4 marketing decisions for this year. Now I'm going to look at our orders page real quick. This is one of my favorite pages to look at as well. This breaks down every order that you've gotten into what it was that led them to that purchase. You can filter it however you want and sort this table however you want over what time frame you want. But if you click into any individual order, you can actually see what that entire customer's journey was. I have an example order that I pulled up earlier. So this customer has had 32 touch points with this brand that led them to making this purchase, starting all the way back in 2023 with a Google ad click was the first interaction they had that we could track with this brand. A lot of direct visits, postscript clicks, they were on the SMS list, obviously, a meta click also back in 2023, all the way through to a whole bunch of email sends and email clicks that led to the purchase itself. Now, if we're thinking back on our attribution models, on a linear model, every single one of these Klaviyo clicks, every single one of these postscript and direct clicks is going to receive attribution credit. For new customer performance and for identifying which ads and assets drove that demand for this purchase, we don't want to assign credit to these because we want to make sure that the upper funnel efforts, we want to make sure that it's obvious to us as the marketer, as the decision maker, which upper funnel efforts actually drove that demand. So with this order on a clicks only basis, it is just going to be these Meta or Facebook ad clicks that are going to get the attribution credit. So when you're looking at Meta, that attribution is going to increase the revenue attributed to Meta for you to know on the campaign, asset, and ad that led to this performance, so led to this sale, that is where you should put your scaling efforts, and that is where you should strategize around. Now, the last one we're going to look at real quick is going to be our Metrics Explorer, which is a feature that was released right around the time that I actually came to Northbeam. I'm a huge fan of this. Essentially, what this tool does is allow you to correlate any metrics that we track inside of Northbeam over whatever time period that you're looking at. One of the favorite ones for brands to do is going to be one of these defaults, which is the Amazon Halo effect. Now, again, this is correlation, not causation. We all know that correlation has its own demons, but if we look at all of our spend, excluding our Amazon spend, then we have a really good idea of the halo effect our off Amazon marketing efforts are having on Amazon sales. In this case, we have a quite high positive correlation. So I can feel confident that my Facebook and my Google and my YouTube and TikTok marketing efforts are actually driving Amazon revenue without having to do an incrementality test. Without spending that money and without having to spend the time to do it, I can have a very confident indicator that these efforts are correlated and that if I increase my spend on other channels, then my revenue on Amazon will also increase. There's a lot of other use cases for this tool. One of my favorite ones is actually to look at something like essentially a similar halo effect for something like YouTube. So on YouTube, you don't get a lot of click-based performance. I think we all inherently know that, especially being inside of the Google Ads Manager. But we can look at something like if I put my YouTube spend right here, and then I put my lower funnel revenue as the secondary metric to track, that's going to be my email revenue, SMS revenue, my organic and direct revenue. We will very, very often see a very high positive correlation between YouTube spend and our lower funnel revenue, which is again a very good indicator that even though we may have a very thin ROAS on YouTube, or we may not have very much click-based performance that we can track and identify, that our marketing efforts on YouTube are driving performance that's unmeasured. These correlation analyses can really help us determine to what degree those efforts are correlated. Now, Jack, if you want to take over and get us back to the slideshow.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I ask you a question as well? We had a little input into the Q&A.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
how is CAC and ROAS, how's the index calculated at the product level?
Oh, I apologize. I should have explained that. So for anybody who doesn't hasn't worked on an index level before, essentially these all of the products in here and all the numbers we're looking at on this index, these are compared to each other, not compared to your business performance as a whole. So this product all the way here in the top right, this is the one where we have gotten the best ROAS. It's the highest up here with the lowest CAC relative to our marketing efforts. It is a little bit complicated to explain the math behind how this breaks out. So I explained earlier with our attribution models on clicks only, we're dividing credit off of touch points. With the product level analytics, we're taking the revenue amount from a transaction from each of the products inside of that transaction and then dividing the cost of those products as a part of the total order amount, and then dividing that credit across the channel, campaign, ad, and ad set that drove that performance. Does that answer your question?
Answers my question. I hope it answers yours as well. Okay, great. Let me reshare and then we'll quickly go to the review section where we can kind of wrap this up. Here we go. You see that, CJ?
I do not. Do I need to stop sharing?
No, I'm sharing now. You should see it on your Zoom.
I don't. Let me see. There we go. Now I can see it. My apologies for that.
Okay.
Okay. Let me get back into this. So yeah, this is kind of a quick little overview of, I've shown you the demo of Northbeam. Now, what are the things outside of Northbeam that will affect performance, where we can actually look inside of Northbeam to help us make decisions to make the business better as a whole and to keep our efficiency as high as possible? If you're looking at performance for an asset that has a low click-through rate and a high CPM, there is going to be a creative and targeting mismatch. This is where you are going to want to go in to fix the angle of the creative or the asset, maybe change the audience targeting based on what it is, or work on a different angle or just a different hook on the creative, increasing your thumb stop and all of those relevant metrics. If you're looking at something where you actually have good clicks, but you have a low new customer conversion rate, that means the ad is actually attracting the right people. The right people are clicking on the asset, but there is some mismatch between the asset and where that customer is landing. So maybe the psychology of the ad that they clicked on doesn't match the psychology or the pain points that are addressed on the landing page. Whatever it is, there's something there that doesn't quite align where the customer is not getting their expectations met after they click on the ad. If you have a good new customer conversion rate, but you have a low RPV, a low revenue per visit, this is where you want to actually work on your offer. So this is where you would look at increasing your AOV through bundles, upsells, and cross sells, which are free and we are very, very big fans of, your post-purchase offers, or considering price testing. and that can be price testing up or down. We've seen both increase performance. On the last one, if you have a high new customer CAC, we have a low platform CAC. That is when we actually want to, essentially, you're looking at something where the platform that you're looking into conflicts with Northbeam. In almost every single case, and this obviously I'm slightly biased when I say this, but we want to defer to the Northbeam data to make those acquisition choices to essentially analyze that. Your platforms, they're not sharing credit across each other. Northbeam is built to give you an unbiased and omni-channel view for that decision making. The platform is just telling you everything that it can. And it's not Meta's fault that they're showing you a ROAS that's much lower than what your actual ROAS is. They just don't have the data that we have. They don't have that shared data, and that's why Northbeam is here to give you that single source of truth.
CJ, I just wanted to ask you, in your experience, are there some of so some of these things that we're talking about, like creative variations or how people, funneling people to the bottom of their funnels, or the price or offer bundles, cross sells, etc. Are there any
Yes.
consistent errors that you see people get wrong, like generally speaking? Like, is there something where people should really think about as the first like port of call?
Yeah, the first thing that I would always recommend, and we do talk to our clients about, is making sure that the messaging between the asset and where the customer lands is aligned. Now, a lot of times we'll have very, very good everybody will have an evergreen campaign or an evergreen ad that is just going to your product page or a generic landing page that is doing really well. Those are totally fine. But if you have a very specific, I would say, if you have a very specific angle that you're going for a product, if you're selling a supplement where it's very specific, talking about losing weight, and the customer clicks on that ad and then goes to the landing page, and it's a generic product page that's talking about just general health, that is a bit of a mismatch where we want to correct that. That's where you have an opportunity to increase your conversion rates and increase ROAS and lower your CAC by setting them to a landing page that more directly addresses the same pain point that the customer is feeling when they click on that ad or that asset. That's going to be the number one thing, is just making sure that the paid assets you have out are matching where the customer is landing.
Great. And so to a certain extent, you should be able to read the data, close your eyes, and have a pretty good idea of what the bottleneck is with some.
Yes. That should be very clear when you look at that's one of the more valuable parts about having all the aggregated data in Northbeam is that we have a grouped and we have an unbiased and tied together sense of our total E and ECR and our RPV. So it's very easy to see inside the Northbeam dashboard where that mismatch might be. Like I can see very, very easily that an asset is not performing the way that it should. And especially if I'm looking at my benchmarks and it's got a red benchmark, then there's something there to where this ad is not scaling and is not performing the way that I want it to. And it's very easy to drill down and see why that is.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for doing this perfectly on time and super in depth. Really just building off the sort of abridged framework that we have in the ebook. For those watching, we will be publishing this on YouTube and sending a link. So if you want to go back and look at any of the details of CJ's framework and just kind of keep that in mind for when you're optimizing your own ads, you can do that no problem. We'll also be sending a copy of the ebook along to you. And yeah, thank you again, CJ, for doing this presentation. It's just super fascinating to get an insight into what our media buyer team does, and our media strategists do. We will be doing more webinars in future, more content. We want to bring more folks like CJ coming out and giving their sort of insights on the stuff that we do. So stay tuned for more. And my name's been Jack Browning, Senior Content Strategist at Northbeam. I will be popping into your inbox soon with more webinar invites. Thank you so much for joining us and hope you have a
Thank
great
you
day.
all.
Thanks, CJ. Bye.